it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets, and welcome to this month's sketch challenge for Create in Inkspire. Here's the card that I made using this sketch. So stay tuned to see how I made it, but make sure you watch till the very end because I have two special projects that I know that you're just going to love. The products that we use today are from Kindred Stamps Toy Box, and unfortunately it's no longer available, but I'm sure that you have products in your stash that you can use to replicate this technique. So for the sketch, we're actually going to make a slimline card, which is 3.5 by 8.5, and the white piece of cardstock is cut down to 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base. I took two masks from the Spotlight stencils from Honeybee Stamps, an oval and a rectangle. Masked those off. I used some pixie spray to spray the backs of them so they would stay on. And then I taped the stencil that's included with the kit down to my work surface, as well as to the bottom of the card that we're not going to be inking up right now. Then I'm going to be taking the Distress Oxide and Twisted Citron and using my amazing Rabbit Hole Designs Cottontail brushes just to ink up the background. And if anybody has dexterity issues, I do have issues with my wrists, and these brushes are super easy to use. They lay down a nice even layer of color, but it's not too, I don't get those harsh lines when I use these brushes, so I love them. So one tip for this is to make sure that you get around the mask really, really well, because when you take the stencil and the mask up, you want a crisp, clean line around that image. So you want like a nice crisp white oval that has even borders around it, or no, like nothing choppy. So now, because the stencil isn't slimline, I didn't go all the way down to the bottom. I left like that last row empty, and now I'm just moving the stencil down to keep repeating the pattern. This is an easy way to use a stencil on a slimline card, so you don't have to go out and buy special products for the slimlines. I know that there are lots available, but I tend not to buy them because I don't make a ton of slimline cards, or I can make the products that I already have work for me. So there you go, I'm just inking up the very bottom, doing the same thing that I did with the oval on the top, making sure that the rectangle gets completely covered around the edges so that I have a nice, crisp, clean image. And I apologize for the shaking and the lighting in some of this. I'm really still trying to figure it out, and it was a bad lighting day. So I did use pixie spray on the back of these, and I don't think I waited long enough for them to dry. So there was a little bit of residue. The easiest thing to do is to use your sand eraser and just very lightly go over it. It all came off. It was very easy. Now, this is my terrible drawing of the sketch, so ignore that. You saw the actual picture of the sketch in the beginning, so pay attention to that, not my terrible drawing. Now we're going to ink up an image twice from the stamp set, since there was only one of them, and one of these little characters, and then the sentiment, which says, "Ooh, you have been chosen to celebrate." So those are two different stamps included in the set, and we're going to ink them up with Catherine Pooler Midnight ink. The reason that I chose this ink is because we're going to be doing Copic coloring, and it's great for watercoloring, Copic coloring, other markers, crayons, pencils, anything. It's a very good ink to ink it up if you're going to do any techniques. So I inked the character up once, moved him over to the right hand side, and I didn't really measure, so I had to kind of move him down a little bit. If I would do this over again, I probably still wouldn't measure because that's not the kind of person I am. I like to eyeball things. It's handmade, it's not perfect, so the alien guy is a little off, but we're going to be using Copic markers, so that's why I'm using the Catherine Pooler ink. So we're going to ink him up, and then we're going to let this dry. This is a fast drying ink, but when I use Copic markers, I like to give it a little bit of time to dry. So I set it aside, turned off the camera for a little bit, and got my Copic markers out. Now, these are YG markers, and I apologize, I don't know exactly what ones they are, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not great with Copic coloring combinations. I do have a board over on Pinterest that you can check out for Copic color combinations. Like I said, these are just two that I thought would look good. If you're stumped with colors, you can look on Pinterest. You can Google some color combinations of things. as well as, just kind of playing with your markers and, taking a scratch piece of paper and seeing what color combinations you like. So I'm just going to color them in. These are 2 YG markers, and then I'm going to use 2 B markers for the suit. We're going to use Y06, and I only know this because I show that pretty good in later in the video, for the belt on his suit. And then we're going to use R20 for his mouth, his ears, and his cheeks. Now, because R20 is lighter than the YG colors that I used, it pushes the color away, so you're actually going to be able to see the cheek color. So while I'm coloring this in, and you guys are watching this, I'm not doing any special techniques, so don't worry, and I apologize for the lighting. I try to keep my hand there so it doesn't go out. But anyway, while it's no real good techniques, it's just me coloring it in, let's talk a little bit about sketch challenges. So I have a board posted over at my Pinterest for sketches. For me, it's a great rut buster. If I really don't know what to do, I'll go over and check out a sketch. Also, when I'm doing my large series, like especially the Christmas series, I like to have sketches available, and then I go pick products, and then I actually sketch it out based off of sketches that I've pinned. So sketches can be taken literally, or there's some creative licensing. So for this one, I pretty much took it literally. I did the oval at the top and the rectangle at the bottom. I didn't round the corners. You could do that. You can use pattern paper to create these. You can use dies. You can use stamps. You can do a lot of different things. There's a lot of creative licensing you can do with that. You can also take a sketch and turn it on its side. So lots of different things. So just there, back to the card real quick, I used C1 to put some ground underneath the little characters so it didn't look like they were floating in space, even though they might have been. Now I'm going to use my ATG, put some glue on the back of it, and you can see I had inked up the back. I was like 3/4 of the way done and realized that I forgot to put my masks on, so that wasn't going to work. So things like that always happen to me. So I redid it, but I think it came out very nicely. So there's the card. You're going to see 2 pictures, and then stay tuned after the pictures are done because you're going to see some special projects, and I'm going to walk you through what we did. So there's the picture of the card. Here's a picture of the rest of the stamp set and that amazing blending brush. So now you're going to see Brooklyn at work. We are using Tim Holtz Distress Crayons with a gessoed background, which the girls did the gesso. And they're also using the stamping platform. They're using MFT stamps to do the sketch. The girls were super excited about this and put their own spin on things. So they used the Distress crayons. Brooklyn colored in the image with crayons, and then I cut it out. I didn't do that great of a job. I had crappy scissors at their house. But they used the stencil and the baby wipe technique to create the background. And you can see there, Brooklyn used 2 masks like I did in my card, and then used the Distress crayon, used the open part of it. Now, Madelyn decided to use the Misti. She stamped out also images from MFT. Both of the stamp sets linked below. And then she did the same thing and colored the background in with Tim Holtz Distress crayons, did a background. They both used Kindred stamps. Brooklyn used the dragon stencil. Madelyn used the mermaid stencil. She colored in the kitty, like the kitty that she has that was attached to her binky, which she sleeps with every single night. But they used regular Crayola markers and colored this in, and I was so proud of them. They loved doing the sketch. And then they decided to color in panels to put on the inside of the card. This is Madelyn's card, but Brooklyn's is on the left and Madelyn's is on the right. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and I'll see you again soon for another video. Bye!